So just yesterday, the Milwaukee Bucks won their first game of the NBA Finals in Game 3 versus the Phoenix Suns, meaning they are now down only 2-1 versus the Suns. In the first 2 games of the series, Milwaukee looked out of sorts and they looked like they weren't even a match for the Suns, but this Game 3 definitely gave some hope to me who wants the Bucks to win and some Bucks fans. And that has led me to making this video where I'll be giving some reasons to how Milwaukee can come back in this series. Before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. I literally post every single day. Go check. Also, that'll reach my goal of 1,500 subscribers. Comment on this video, start a conversation with me as I do respond to all of my comments, and play that intro. The first reason the Milwaukee Bucks can come back into the series and win the NBA Finals is because their second and third best player in Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton stepped up to the plate. In the first 2 games of the series, both Jrue and Middleton played absolutely horrendous, as Jrue was averaging 13 points, but he was shooting 31% from the field and 14% from 3, which obviously is atrocious. The Bucks aren't going to win any games if he's playing that terrible, and in the case of Middleton, he wasn't bad, but he still wasn't playing at his all-star level, as he was averaging 20 points but shooting 40% from the field and 33% from 3. And both of those guys, in my opinion, were the biggest reason the Bucks lost in both of those games, because you're not going to beat a team as good as Phoenix unless your star players that are actually producing at a star level. But in that Game 3, the Bucks supporting players really stepped up, as Chris Middleton had a decent game, having 18 points on 6 for 14 shooting, and Jrue Holiday really stepped up, having 21 points on 8 for 14 shooting. And obviously Giannis had his second and 40-point double-double in the game, and they would have lost this game if Giannis didn't play that well, but they also would have lost this game if Middleton and Jrue didn't step up to the degree that they did. And if the Bucks want to have any little of a chance to come back in the series, both of these guys are going to have to step it up, because in the first 2 games of the series they were getting terribly outplayed by the Phoenix Suns backcourt in Chris Paul and Devin Booker. And although I do think the Suns backcourt is better, just because they're better doesn't excuse how much better they were playing in the first 2 games than the Bucks backcourt, because these are still two all-star caliber players. Middleton is an all-star and Jrue Holiday is like a near all-star, and all I would ask of them is to somewhat match the output of the Suns backcourt. They don't even necessarily have to outplay them, although that would be good. They just need to play good. And if Giannis could keep playing at the same level, which is looking like he's a top 3 player in the NBA, the Bucks can come back in the series and win the NBA championship. And I guarantee you, if that ever happens, it's going to be because Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton stepped up enough to where Milwaukee could get the wins that they need. The second reason the Milwaukee Bucks can come back in the series versus the Phoenix Suns to win the NBA championship is the fact that so far in this series, their superstar and top 5 player in Giannis Antetokounmpo has been playing like an absolute madman, as in his last 2 games he has put up back-to-back 40-point games along with 10 or more rebounds. He's truly completely erasing that narrative of him being a playoff choker or anything like that, because the last time we saw someone put up back-to-back 40-point games in the NBA Finals, it was LeBron James in 2016, and we all know what happened in 2016 with LeBron James. And the way that Giannis is playing right now is some of the better basketball of his career, and he just looks like a guy who really wants to win. Even today he was hitting his free throws at a consistent level. He was just clicking on all cylinders. The reason Giannis playing this well is such a big deal is because throughout this whole series I thought Giannis would play well overall because he's a superstar, but I didn't think he would be absolutely dominating the Suns' great defense like this. And the thing is, he's playing way better than he usually does, and the way he plays usually is still at a top 5 level. But right now he's playing like he's the best player in the world. And if the Bucks ever wanted to come back in this series, it would be off the back of Giannis, due to the fact that Phoenix is a more deep and just a better run team with a significantly better coach, and they have better role players. And this also is a big reason why the Bucks were not favored in this series. But the thing that goes for the Bucks' advantage is the fact that Giannis Giannis is the best player in the series, and it's not even close. And if he keeps playing at this level, then they definitely have a chance to at least win the championship, because I don't feel like the difference between the Bucks talent and the Suns talent is that significant to where if Giannis is playing like the best player in the world, they will not at least make it a close series. And I honestly feel it's somewhat realistic to imagine Giannis to keep playing at the same level, because although Phoenix, as I said, is a fantastically well-run team, and they probably could make some nice adjustments to make things harder for Giannis, I just feel like Giannis is at the level to where if guys like Chris Middleton and Drew are stepping up, then no matter what adjustment you make, he's gonna dominate you. And the Suns already were playing pretty good defense on him. They had a pretty good game plan, but they just can't stop him. So if the Bucks ever come back into the series, I guarantee you it's gonna be off of the back of Giannis Antetokounmpo playing like the top 5 player he is. The third reason the Milwaukee Bucks can come back into the series versus the Phoenix Suns is the fact that ever since Devin Booker injured his nose in the Western Conference Finals, he's been very inconsistent, and he simply hasn't been the Devin Booker we're used to knowing. Don't get it twisted, he's probably had some pretty good games and he's had some big games, but he wasn't playing as well as he was in the LA series or the Denver series, because ever since Booker got injured, which was since Game 2 in the Western Conference Finals, he's only been averaging 24 points, which sounds good, but he's been doing it on 37% from the field and 31% from 3. As I said, that's clearly not Devin Booker, and this can be used to the Bucks' advantage due to the fact that Booker, in my opinion at least, is probably the Suns' best player, but I think Chris Paul is the most important player, but I think Devin is the best player. And if he's not playing at his highest level, then that definitely is a huge advantage for the Bucks. So far in this series, there has been 3 games, and in my opinion, Booker has only had 1 good game, because he hasn't been on fire or anything like that, because in Game 1 he put up 27 points, but he did it on 38% from the field and 12% from 3, which is definitely not a good game at all for Booker. Then in the second game, he played really well, putting up 31 points, shooting 48% from the field and hitting 7 threes. But in this most recent game, Game 3, he only put up 10 points, shooting 3 for 14 from the field. So I just showed you proof that Booker has not been himself as of late, and obviously he's not going to play like that every single night, and he's definitely going to have some other good performances and games, but I also think he's going to also have some bad games due to the fact that he's been really inconsistent as of late, and I don't think he's going to randomly change it around in the NBA Finals, but he definitely could. But he's shown that he has been inconsistent, and if the Bucks can take that to their advantage, it drastically increases the chance that they could win the game or the series. And I think that's a huge advantage to them winning, because if Booker was just killing it up throughout the whole entire playoffs and the whole entire series, then I wouldn't even use this as a point, since he would be consistent. I don't have any fear of Chris Paul playing terrible, because even if Paul's not hitting his shots, which is rare, at least he's going to get his team involved and still have like a positive impact on the game. But if Booker isn't scoring, then he's not having like a great impact, because besides scoring, he doesn't do too much else. Like, sure, he's a good passer, but if he's missing like 11 shots, then I don't think he has a positive impact on the game. But if the Bucks ever come back in the series, I expect it to be because Devin Booker had a few underwhelming games. But to conclude the video, I think there's a legitimate chance that the Bucks come back to win the series. I wouldn't necessarily bet on it, because Phoenix looked way too dominant in those first 2 games. But if Milwaukee can win Game 4 at home, then I think I would predict them to win the series. And even if they do not win it, I still think they could win it, because this team low-key gives me some 2016 Cavaliers vibes, with Giannis being the superstar like LeBron and this Bucks team not being the greatest. Then he had his second star in Chris Middleton. So even if they go down 3 games to 1, I wouldn't be surprised if they could make the comeback. But nonetheless, I think the series is going to be solid, and I hope there's a few more close games. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know who you think is going to win the series. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want weekly NBA content, and touch my goal of 1,500 subscribers. Comment on this video, start a conversation with me, as I do respond to all of my comments. And I'm out.